years, we have given a presentation on edible aquifers. And at the Children's Water Festival, we've also used it with at schools. We presented it. I used to present it on ICN, which is kind of getting up no longer, but and webinars. And then we also have an online version that some people have pulled off and been able to use on their own. Today, what I'm going to do is, when we give this presentation, we usually give it to 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. So I've had to kind of try to adjust it a little bit to adults, but so I'll probably try to keep it as it is, like I was giving it to students, so that you guys would know what it would be like when you're presenting it to students. And what the goal is that the students would know what materials can consist of an aquifer, and what it means to have an aquifer, and potentially what would happen if there's gaps in an aquifer, or issues where you would have contamination in your aquifer. So to start with, what is an aquifer? So an aquifer is a layer of earth materials that holds water, and these materials can be either bedrock or loose earth materials. If you look at the diagram, there's the lower level is kind of the porous sandstone aquifer, and you got your clay layer, and then you have a sand and gravel aquifer. I don't know if anybody can see it in the back real well, but and so then some of you probably live where you have public water supplies. Some people live where you have private wells. But everybody is using a well of some sort when they get their water. So some private wells can be really shallow, and then also you can have some that are dug way down into the lower levels of an aquifer.
Sherry, they can look at the sheet too on the table.
Yeah, and then there's
and the poster
on the wall. I didn't print. I was trying to save paper, so I only printed a few of everything. So, all right. So different kinds of earth materials that help to make up an aquifer. There's bedrock, which is a solid earth material, such as sandstone, limestone, shale, granite, or metamorphic rocks. And then there's also loose material, such as sand, gravel, or clay, that was formed from glaciers or the rivers. So, and for bedrock, bedrock can be a solid material. It's solid earth material that is under the loose sand, gravel, and soil. It's usually found near the Earth's surface, so it's way down at the bottom. Groundwater is sometimes found in bedrock, because bedrock is sometimes porous and permeable, so it can hold the water, but it's not where we normally get all of our water. Geologists call bedrock consolidated earth materials because pieces are stuck together and form a solid rock. So some common examples of a solid rock that can be bedrock are sedimentary rocks, which are made up of shale, sandstone, or limestone. And then there's igneous rocks, such as granite, or metamorphic rocks, which is some like gneiss or schist type of rock. And we'll kind of get into a little bit more of that. So the layers of the earth materials that make up an aquifer must be porous and permeable. So as you can see on the diagram on the right, a porous means that having open pore space in the layer that can hold the water, such as between the different sand grains or like fractures in the ground. Permeable means it has to have pore spaces interconnected to allow the water to pour down into it and move through the material. If there isn't any porous or permeable area, it's considered impermeable, and you wouldn't be able to get any water from that area. So here's an example of some material layers that form aquifers. You got the igneous metamorphic rocks at the bottom. You got the limestone aquifer, which is where some of the limestone fractures is where sometimes you can get water through that area. Then we have the shale, and then we have loose sand and gravel, aquifer, which is also where the water will intersperse within. And then you have your water table, and then your soil level and your cover level. So when you have aquifers, there's different layers. So you start with a confined aquifer, which is part of the metamorphic, igneous, and sedimentary rocks. So we're going to discuss a few of those types of layers. So sedimentary rocks are the types of rocks that are formed by the deposition of material, and they usually are like shale, sandstone, limestone. Sometimes with shale, you'll see where it's layered on top of each other. We'll have a picture of that later. Then you have the metamorphic and igneous rock. The metamorphic rocks arise from transformation of existing rock. They change in form, which makes it metamorphism. And then igneous rocks are formed through cooling and solidification, which everybody knows what lava is, and that where it forms and then it makes a solid rock. So once again, the forms of metamorphic rock would be like granite, or igneous would be like the gneiss and schist rock. And I have a couple of pictures of the different kinds of igneous and metamorphic rocks. Like this is definitely your granite type rock, and then these are kind of your igneous rocks. I'm just going to pass them around and you can look at them. So as we were talking, shale is one example of a sedimentary rock. There's kind of a little picture there, but I always look at the shale and think of when I drive down the interstate, or I'm in a really pretty, area where there's lots of mountains or rocks, and you're driving through and they cut out the road, and you can see all the rocks are like layering on top of each other. So that's kind of like your shale. The water will run through the shale, usually very slowly. Then we have the confining layer, and this consists of your clay and other forms of rock. So examples of clay, how many people have went into their backyard to make a garden and it's a really dry day? Is the clay soft or hard?
Hard when it's dry.
Yeah. So, and then when it gets wet, a lot of times it can be gooey and kind of squishy, just kind of like, your clay that you make very soft, totally different. And we use the clay, we use it in ponds, sometimes at the bottom of the pond, but also if it's mixed with any other type of soil or sand, then it's more porous and water will sit through it. So we have the unconfined layer, which is an example of an unconfined layer would be gravel and loose sand. So some examples of sand would be like coarse sand. So you have sand that's made up of rock that's broken down into small pieces. A handful of coarse sand, if you throw it into water, coarse sand's going to sink. Fine sand's probably going to take longer to sink. Sand doesn't stick together if it's really fine or coarse, but if it's mixed with other types of stuff, like if you're on a beach or something, once it's mixed with water, it'll be like sandcastle type thing. And then we have fine sand, which is where it's like much, like when you go to a beach and you have just like a really dry sand and it just sifts right through your hands, it's really white or all different kinds of beach sand. Sometimes there's dirt and silt mixed in with fine sand. Fine sand you'll find, the insects and animals can move around in this layer, but they don't find any food in this is the water table, which is the highest underground level at which rocks and soil in a particular area are completely wet with water. As in the poster over there, you know, it's kind of right in sand and gravel. You've got the water table, sits above that. And then we have ground cover, or cover. It's a layer of soil and other materials on top of the water table. So some examples of the soils would be your subsoil, which is a layer of soil under the topsoil, of course, with the on the surface of the ground. Topsoil is composed of variable mixtures of small particles, has silt, sand, clay in it. Animals like insects, worms, and ants, and some other smaller, chipmunks or groundhogs would live in this layer of the earth. Sometimes when you have subsoil, it can be in Iowa, it's one, it could be brown or gray color, but if you go to somewhere south, it might be more reddish in color. And then we have the topsoil, which is the very dark, dark black layer of soil that you have out in your fields, and that you want all your rich layer where you want all your nutrients and your plants that you grow. It's usually about 2 to 8 inches in depth. You want to make sure that the topsoil doesn't erode. People, if they don't do any type of conservation or cover over the topsoil, it'll all blow away when you get a big rain. So you want to make sure you always have a good cover crop. So ground cover refers to any plant that grows over an area of ground used to provide protection from erosion and drought. What kinds of things would be in this layer? Anybody have any ideas? What would you have on your ground cover? What could you have on your ground cover?
Grass.
Yes. Anything else?
Newspapers.
Yeah, I do that in my garden. So yeah, you have your leaves, your grass, sticks, bugs, worms, and then when they fall down on the ground, then they decompose, and you end up having an area for your bugs and food for your animals, and it also protects our ground, and it protects our aquifers, so that we don't get contamination. You always want to be careful as to what you have near your wells, because in a well, if it's got, if you're near pesticides, you want to make sure your well is far enough covered and away from pesticides. If somebody would, you have gasoline issues or anything like that, you want to make sure that your aquifer is safe to that. So next on our list is we're going to make an aquifer. So we need supplies, and everyone is going to get, so we're going to use plastic cups, spoons, straws, milk, and then food products. Normally we would give one to every student, and they would fill it up and go through the process, and then once we get done making the aquifer, then we pour milk in it, and you get to kind of see if, you're going to have the straw is going to be your well, so you put it in the middle, and then as you layer the layers, then we pour milk in it, and we want to see how quickly or how not so quickly the milk goes down through your layers, so that you kind of get an idea of how easily you can contaminate a well if you don't have the right layers. So just to repeat, some of the layers of the edible aquifer. So there was the confined aquifer, which is sedimentary rocks, which consist of limestone, shale, or sandstone, and first layer.